Todd Young Online presents Young Tales. Tales for the young and the young at heart. Today's story, Bulfinch's Mythology, the Judgement of Orestes. When Agamemnon returned from the war at Troy, he did not return to glory. He returned to a wife with a blade behind her back. Clytemnestra, his queen, had waited 10 long years, not with sorrow, but with scorn. For Agamemnon had sacrificed their daughter Iphigenia to win the winds of war. And in his absence, Clytemnestra had taken another, Aegisthus, cousin to the king, and sworn enemy in the house of Atreus. They greeted the returning hero with smiles, with garlands, with the sweet scent of wine and burning meat. And then when he reclined at the banquet table, they struck him down. But this is not Agamemnon's tale. This is Orestes. The boy son of the murdered king was meant to die as well. But his sister Electra, faithful and fierce, smuggled him away under the cover of night. She sent him to Phocis, where he grew up in the court of King Strophius, and found a brother not in blood, but by bond, Pylades, the prince of that land. Together they became one soul and two bodies. When Orestes had grown into manhood, Electra's message reached him again. "Come," they said, "and do your duty. Avenge your father." Orestes went to Delphi, where the oracle of Apollo confirmed the call. "Slay the usurpers," said the god. "Cleanse your house in blood." And so he returned to Argos in disguise, bearing an urn and a lie. "I bring you the ashes of Prince Orestes," he told the grieving Electra, who wept at first until she looked again. "Brother," she whispered, clinging to him, "you live." "Yes," he said, "but not for long unless justice lives with me." Together they plotted. That same day Orestes drove his blade into Aegisthus, and then into Clytemnestra, his own mother. And though the gods had commanded it, and though her hands had been soaked in Agamemnon's blood, the skies grew dark. The Furies arose, 3 dread spirits with serpent hair and scourging whips. They hounded Orestes across the world, shrieking for vengeance. "Matricide!" they screamed. "Blood must answer blood." He wandered, mad with guilt, through land and sea with Pylades always at his side, a quiet shield against despair. Then came a second oracle. "Seek the statue of Diane in far Taurus," it said, "and your burden will lift." They obeyed, but Taurus was cruel. All strangers in that land were sacrificed to the goddess. Orestes and Pylades were seized and dragged before the altar, before the high priestess who had spilled their blood. She raised the knife and paused. "Who are you?" she asked. "I am Orestes of Mycenae," he said, "son of Agamemnon, hounded by the Furies. Do what you must." The knife fell from her hand. "I am Iphigenia," she said softly, "your sister." They embraced, 3 siblings divided by war and death and the will of gods. Together they stole the statue. Together they escaped. But the Furies were not done. Orestes fled to Athens, to the temple of Minerva, the goddess of wisdom and war. There beneath her gaze the first court of justice convened, the Areopagus. The Furies cried out, "He has slain his mother." Orestes answered, "I obeyed the command of Apollo." The judges voted, half for guilt, half for mercy. And then Minerva rose. "I cast my vote for clemency," she said, and the curse was broken. The Furies, soothed at last, laid down their whips. They became Eumenides, the kindly ones, guardians of justice, not vengeance. Orestes returned home not as a murderer, but as a king restored. And here's where we end for today. Young Tales is produced and narrated by Todd Young from Todd Young Online. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and join us next time for another story. Thank you for your support.